Hey guys, welcome to video 2 of the Intro to Traditional Archery series. We're talking arrows today. So, for archery in general, there's 3 types of arrows. There are wood, there's aluminum, and there's carbon. And I guess now there's a carbon-aluminum hybrid, but we're not going to talk about those. So I've shot all 3 for traditional gear, and I'm going to discuss with you why I settled on carbon and which shafts specifically I settled on. So I started with wood arrow, and the reason I started with wood arrows is because of the throwback, the coolness of it. I had big plans. I was going to shoot a wood arrow, and I was going to flint knap a stone head, and I was going to do all these really awesome things and kill a deer, and it's going to be awesome. And starting out, that's probably some of the most unrealistic expectations I've ever had for myself in hunting and archery. Starting out, I really think you need to go with an arrow option that is super easy to work with, and I didn't find that in wood. I struggled tuning them. The glue-on broadheads for me were a pain. Flint knapping is a whole other thing that I am just not good at. So, after shooting wood, I kind of went away from them and I went to aluminum. Now, aluminum are nice because they're heavy, and it's really super important that you shoot a heavy arrow with traditional gear. I like a heavy arrow with compounds also, but with traditional gear, it's really of the utmost importance. You're not shooting, oh goodness, my nose itches. You're not shooting fast, so you want to shoot heavy. You want that momentum, so when you hit an animal, it drives through, and you get that pass through that you're looking for. So aluminum are heavy, and aluminum are simple. You just screw in a tip and you can glue on a knock and it's all good to go. The big issue with aluminum is durability. I struggled really bad with breaking them, and not necessarily breaking them, but bending them. And I know you can get like arrow straighteners and things of that nature, but really it goes back into I don't want to have to mess with all that just starting out. As I grow in traditional archery, I will come back around to those goals, like flint knapping my own head and things of that nature. I'll come back around to that, but starting out, I really think you need to focus on getting a setup that you can just shoot with no worries. So I left aluminum and I went to carbon. Now, when I went to carbon, I kind of jumped in and went with what I consider to be some of the best quality traditional carbon arrows out there. And the biggest reason I did that is, again, weight. It seemed like the cheaper carbon arrows, even a standard carbon you would maybe look at and think it's for a compound bow, they tend to be lighter. And I wanted that heaviness. Now, does that mean you can't shoot a standard diameter or a standard carbon arrow that's cheap? Absolutely not. You're probably going to have to switch the fletchings to feathers, but still, you can most definitely shoot that arrow. Just be aware you want to shoot something heavy. So if that arrow is 8.5 or 9 grains per inch, you're going to want to put a heavy insert and a heavy broadhead up front to help aid in weight. So with that said, I went with Black Eagle Instinct. They're really nice. You can see they have well, it's kind of tough to see, but they have a wood pattern already. Some cool graphics on them, whatever. The biggest thing for me with the Instinct was, again, the weight. I think these come in right around 10 grains per inch. These are the 350 spine, and that's going to give me a nice heavy arrow without any extra components to do so. Now, on top of that, these come with 100 grain stainless steel outserts. Because they are a micro diameter arrow, they have to use an outsert. But that's just going to add more weight, and that makes me happy. Now, the other thing is micro diameter. I am a big micro diameter believer. I think it just makes sense. There's less surface area on this arrow, so when you're passing through materials, matter, whatever it may be, there's going to be less friction imparted on the surface of the arrow, which means less slowing down. So in my mind, micro diameter makes sense. And in a situation like a traditional bow, where I may be a little bit concerned with penetration, I think it makes a lot of sense to go with an arrow that's going to help aid in that penetration. Again, another reason to go heavy. The last thing you're going to see, and I showed it at the end there when I was showing the arrow, I've got them fletched with feathers, and that's really not compromisable. When you're shooting a traditional bow, you need feathers. if not just for the sake of it's a traditional bow and you should shoot feathers, because they lay down. If you run your finger on those feathers, you see they lay down. So if you have any shelf contact, or if you're shooting off the shelf, you need something that's going to get out of the way of the bow. I went with a standard white and barred color pattern. Again, just they're easy to see. I'll be able to see blood and tell if it's a bright blood, dark blood, etc. with these. And I went with a white wrap, and that wrap is actually reflective. So another reason I did that is, again, concerns for penetration. If I don't go all the way through the animal with this arrow and it runs off with my arrow and it dies, I'm hoping this arrow stays standing up, and then I can take my flashlight out at night and get the reflection off that wrap and find the arrow and the deer easier. So that covers everything on arrows for me. I've touched base on everything. I think I've kind of explained why I chose this stuff. I'll put a link in the description where you can check out those wraps, where you can check out some feathers that I like, and where you can get these shafts if you would like. In our next video, we're going to talk traditional broadheads, or what I consider to be traditional broadheads. Why I choose certain ones, what I like, what I don't like, things to look for, etc. So I do appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you on the next installment of Intro to Traditional Archery Gear. Hey, thanks for watching the Intro to Traditional Archery series. If you want to check out the other videos in the series, look right over here. If you want to check out some other cool content, look right over here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ding that notification bell. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next vid.